As Netanyahu weighs another showdown with Tehran, are some Israelis now being mocked for allegedly seeking protection from the very enemy their government calls an existential threat? Did one Israeli ship's crew really end up hiding behind Mojtaba Khamenei's image, turning the heir of Iran's leadership into a symbolic shield in the middle of a tense gulf? When Tehran claims that an Israeli crew turned to Ayatollah Khamenei for mercy, is it simply trolling Netanyahu, or signaling how much fear Iran believes its naval power now generates at sea? Is Mojtaba now Israel's Iron Dome? Tehran recasts alleged ship surrender into a PR coup, where portraits of the Khameneis are portrayed as stronger than Israeli missiles. And when Iranian officials circulate claims of Israelis waving Khamenei portraits in panic, are they trying to rewrite the psychological balance of this conflict in front of millions online? Amid rising fears that war with Iran could resume, Tehran is now mocking Netanyahu with a story about an alleged ship surrender, using humor and humiliation as part of its messaging war. On May 17, Iran's consulate in Mumbai posted a taunting message aimed at Israel on social media, turning a diplomatic account into a tool for public trolling. The post claimed that an Israeli-linked ship in the Gulf had put up photos of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and Mojtaba Khamenei in an effort to avoid being attacked by Iranian forces. Iranian officials mocked the alleged crew for using Khamenei's images as protection, suggesting that even Israel sailors believe Iran's supreme leader can shield them when missiles might fly. The same message referenced photos of Mojtaba Khamenei supposedly displayed on the vessel's walls, weaving the supreme leader's son into the story as an emerging symbol of deterrence. The claim quickly spread across social platforms, feeding into a wider torrent of escalating rhetoric and memes traded between supporters of Iran and Israel. Iran's consulate in Mumbai wrote, and I quote, "An Israeli ship got caught in the Persian Gulf, and guess what? To save themselves, they literally put up photos of Ayatollah Khamenei and his son on the ship's walls." Unquote. All of this online mocking is happening just as reports suggest the US and Israel are quietly preparing options to restart their military campaign against Iran if current diplomacy fails. Just a day earlier, Donald Trump warned that time is of the essence for Iran in a new post, casting the standoff as a race against an invisible deadline. He said Iran must get moving fast on a ceasefire arrangement or face what he described as major consequences from the United States. The warning landed while talks over Iran's nuclear program once again appear stalled, deepening uncertainty over whether negotiations can still head off another round of strikes. Trump has also threatened harsher military action if Tehran does not comply with US demands, signaling that any future campaign could be broader than the last phase of the war. Interestingly, this renewed war talk comes at the same time as reports that US munitions and readiness levels are under strain, raising questions about how long Washington can sustain another major Iran surge. The US Navy is facing a looming shortfall in Tomahawk cruise missile capacity just as planners fear a renewed large-scale war with Iran could demand heavy opening strikes. This gap arises because the Navy's Ohio-class guided missile submarines, SSGNs, are nearing retirement after more than 4 decades of service. Each Ohio-class SSGN can carry up to 154 Tomahawk cruise missiles, giving the United States a massive, covert undersea strike magazine for the opening phases of a conflict. These submarines can unleash large, precision missile salvos from underwater, hitting key enemy targets early while remaining hidden from detection. The US Navy currently operates 4 such Ohio-class guided missile submarines, which together represent a major share of America's long-range conventional firepower at sea. However, all 4 SSGNs are scheduled to retire in the coming years, mainly due to aging hulls and growing maintenance burdens that make continued operation difficult. Once removed from service, their retirement would strip 616 Tomahawk missiles from the US Undersea Strike Force on paper. Combined with the planned retirement of its Ticonderoga-class cruisers, the US Navy is on track to lose launch capacity for roughly 2,080 Tomahawk cruise missiles. This combined loss would create a pronounced drop in America's long-range, sea-based conventional missile firepower until replacements fully arrive. The Ohio-class SSGNs are widely regarded as the most powerful conventional strike submarines ever fielded, given their large missile load and flexibility. They can stay hidden underwater for long periods while delivering repeated, large-scale Tomahawk salvos against land targets. In addition to strike missions, these submarines also support covert Navy SEAL and special operations, using their size and payload to carry commandos and equipment. The submarines were originally built in the 1980s as ballistic missile boats and later converted, and they are now over 40 years old. Aging nuclear reactors and rising maintenance needs are the main drivers behind the decision to remove them from service. New Virginia-class Block V attack submarines, equipped with an added missile compartment, are expected to partially take over the SSGN's role. However, each Virginia Block V can hold only about 40 Tomahawk missiles, far fewer than a single Ohio-class SSGN. In practical terms, the Navy would need roughly 3 Virginia-class boats to match the Tomahawk load of one Ohio-class guided missile submarine. U.S. officials and analysts warn this mismatch could leave a notable strike capability gap that persists well into the 2030s. To soften the transition, the Navy is considering extending the service lives of at least 2 of the SSGNs, USS Ohio and USS Michigan, until sufficient replacements are available. At the same time, Navy leaders have acknowledged that the costs of sustaining high-tempo operations for a prolonged Iran war would be difficult to bear under current budgets. Amid talk that fighting with Iran could resume, senior U.S. Navy leaders are now openly admitting they cannot sustain current costs without painful cuts elsewhere. According to the New York Times, U.S. intelligence reports quietly contradicted Donald Trump's public claims of a decisive victory over Iran. Secret American assessments reportedly revealed that Iran's missile infrastructure remained largely intact despite the intense military campaign. Intelligence findings showed Iran regained operational access to most of its missile bases and underground military facilities. The New York Times reported that Iran restored access to 30 out of 33 missile sites positioned along the Strait of Hormuz. Those missile batteries continue to pose a serious threat to U.S. warships and global oil tankers crossing the critical waterway. American intelligence reportedly assessed that Iran still retained nearly 70% of its mobile missile launchers and stockpiles nationwide. The surviving arsenal reportedly included ballistic missiles capable of regional strikes, along with shorter-range cruise missiles targeting land and sea assets. Analysts further concluded that Iran regained access to nearly 90% of its underground missile storage network after the strikes. The findings directly challenged public claims by Trump and Pete Hegseth that Iran's military capabilities had been decimated. While Trump insisted Iran's missile network had been reduced to a scatter, intelligence assessments painted a far more resilient picture. The reports also exposed a growing dilemma for Washington, with U.S. munition stockpiles shrinking while Iran's capabilities remained substantial. Officials reportedly warned that if the ceasefire collapses, renewed strikes could rapidly drain already strained American missile inventories. Military commanders earlier chose to seal bunker entrances instead of destroying them fully, aiming to conserve scarce bunker-busting weapons. Experts warned that rebuilding America's stockpile of Tomahawks, Patriots, and advanced cruise missiles could take several years.